What's up, hockey fans, and welcome to another edition of Just Winging It. We're in the 30s now at this point, and we're getting close to what we think is going to be the 2020-21 season here on the horizon. And we're happy to be joined by one of our most recent signings, or re-signings, if you will, back for his fifth season in Kalamazoo, is forward Kyle Blaney. And thanks for doing this, man. It's been a while. I know you're one of the names I had on my list early in the summer to have on this show. I figured it'd be entertaining for the fans. So I just want to say thanks for finally signing that contract.
Yeah, I mean, no problem. Thanks for having me. You guys were on my list too, of all the possible shows I could be doing this off season. This was at the top of my list. So I'm a big fan. Weekly I tune in, and sometimes I graze through, but I'm there every week. I'm a loyal fan, so I'm happy to be on.
On a scale of 1 to Tanner Sorensen, how bored are you right now?
Is one is I'm not, and Sorensen is boring. I'm past Tanner at this point. It's been an awkward off season, and as painful as Tanner Sorensen is, I'm actually looking forward to seeing him again. So I'm pumped to get back.
Good. Well, you know what? I actually feel bad for the guy. I hear from him more now than I ever used to during the season because he just has nothing to do. He's looking forward to getting back to the rink. So he's at the high level of the board spectrum. Thoughts about coming back? Fifth year in Kalamazoo. It's going to be half of a decade now.
Yeah, to be honest, it's been a good fit since day one. I love the city. I love the teammates. Like, we have such a tight knit group of guys that have kind of been around since I've been there. And I lived with Eric Catalyst my first year, and that's a guy he's at the decade point. Great guy, great teammate. And when you have guys like that, Justin Taylor and Tanner Sorensen's in that list, it just makes it so easy to gravitate back. Like, it's painful to see guys go, but when you're comfortable, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And, you want to be a part of the solution, especially an organization as good as ours. It's one of the best in the league. So you kind of want to come back and get a Kelly Cup championship, like that's the goal every year. And I think we're on the right track. Booter's moves this offseason, Marty's moves, and all that stuff. It's very exciting.
Yeah, I want to get to that here in a second too, about the coaching staff and what this upcoming season might look like. It seems like there's a lot of big names. It should be an exciting year if we can get it off the ground. Let's go back to when we last talked. Back in March, everything happened so fast. Played on a Wednesday. Season ended on a Thursday, I guess. If it was suspended on a Thursday, it was over on a Saturday. Just like that, you guys were heading home that following Monday. What do you remember about that, and what are you going to carry with you about kind of one of the craziest seasons and a season that didn't even end?
Yeah, it was interesting. Like, when Booter called us in for our little exit meeting, everybody was kind of just speechless. Like, nobody had the recipe on how to address a situation like this. It was just, I was in shock. It didn't really hit. It just kind of came to an end. I remember we were at Main Street as a team, and it just didn't even feel real that the season was over. It almost felt like it hadn't even started. I know that Newfoundland was on their way in, and a couple guys on our team, I think, were communicating with guys on their team, and they were like, we haven't left yet, because nobody knew what was going to happen. And we kind of had an idea that it would end up being halted, but maybe not canceled. And then when they canceled it, that was just, you're packing up your stuff and heading home. I was actually in Kalamazoo for a little while after that. So it was really weird to be in town without any of the guys around and without going to the rink. And it was just, it was unbelievable, but happy with the experience, the group overall. We had a really good group last year. I thought, I know that we were kind of at the bottom and falling short of what we thought that we could achieve and accomplish, but we had a lot of injury issues and stuff. But overall, we had a good team, and it was a fun year.
What's the biggest thing you've learned from Coach Bootland and Coach Martin in the 4 years that you've been in Kalamazoo? I mean, 2 of them you played with Joel, and then the last 2 he's been on the staff, but all 4 Nick Bootland's been the head coach. What's the biggest thing you've learned from those guys that's made you a better player?
Well, I would say Marty for sure. As a player, super competitive, super focused, very professional. So that's an easy no-brainer to see a guy like that. And then he makes that transition as a part of the staff, and he's I can see, and obviously the guys who had played with him as well and now are playing, he's the coach. They can see that he translated the professionalism and the work ethic over to the coaching side, which it can go either way, right? You can have a player who kind of like is just having fun. And I've seen that before where they're like loosey goosey and they're just kind of like, like I'm still in the game. But Marty's kind of taking it to another level. Like he's the exact same as he was when he was a player, but as a coach. So it's great. And then Booter, me and Booter have a pretty good relationship, I think. And it's one of the ones that I value. As far as professional hockey goes, he's been my only coach. So I can't really pinpoint learning something. I just, because there's been a lot. Like we've gone through a lot of steps. We've gone through 7-game playoff series. We've gone through falling short of the playoffs by 1 game, losing to Indy. We've gone through pandemic. Like, if anything, he's always it's kind of the same thing with Marty. Is Booter is just like he's always positive, and that's probably a big one. Is like we've had some tough losses in my 4 years, and I can maybe count on one hand how many times Booter has come in and lost his temper a little bit. So he's always positive, always calm, always looking at the big picture. And the big thing with Booter is that like he just gets it. Like Marty's the same. Like they get it. And it's great to have a staff like that because they know what you're going through in the 3-3s, 4-5s. And, they know you're not going to have it every night. And it's just such an understanding and professional staff. It's awesome.
You had back-to-back 40-point seasons, on pace for it again this past season, which we had 12 or 13 games left in the year. So you likely would have gotten there a third straight season. On top of that, you mentioned the injury bug. You were part of that group that was out for a significant amount of time. I think you missed a full month from January to February with an injury. How frustrating was that? And when you were at your peak last year, was that going to be a career year for you? Did you feel like that was the best hockey you'd played?
Yes and no. I think my line mates made it really easy. It's kind of cliche to kind of pass off success to other people, but playing with, I played with Farley, got to play with Tanner, playing with Covey a lot. Me and Covey had a lot of good chemistry. Even Sadaway, like he puts the puck in the net. So personally, I didn't really feel like I was at my peak, but I think that it was probably my peak level of chemistry that I've ever had in a lineup. And I think that helped like a ton. Like I do think honestly that I could have probably contributed a lot more. But it was just other guys. It just made it so easy to play every night. Like Tanner is just so fast and he's just endless energy. I don't even think he knows that he has endless energy, but he just like he can motor and he rips the puck. Like he's so easy to play with. Covey again, like nice playmaker, very similar to me. I think we complement each other well. And then Farley came in and was just right away had an impact, right? So it was so easy. And then to touch on the injury thing, that's always frustrating, especially when you're battling for like a playoff spot. And I'm grateful. Like I got to go on some pretty good trips. Like we got to Tulsa, we got to Allen. So it's not like I was away from the team, which is hard when you're injured. Like a guy like Boston Lear, who's like a big heartbeat guy on our team last year, when he broke his wrist, like he's not with the team, right? So like that hurts a little bit more, but it's definitely frustrating to be injured all the time, or at least for that amount of time, not all the time. But I'm healthy now, so I'm looking forward to hitting the 40 plateau, maybe a little bit more. But hey, I don't want to speculate. I might not have gotten there, Like,
with this roster, you could smash 40 points on paper. Seems like it's a pretty stacked team that they're putting together.
Yeah, like again, it's I'm not going to call a no-hitter, and I don't think anybody is going to relate a 40-point season to the equivalent of a no-hitter, but I'm not going to call a 40-point season.
Well, according to Booter, you're in the best shape of your life, where he said that you've been really dedicating yourself to your off-season conditioning. What have you been up to?
Yeah, it's just like, that's all just smoke and mirrors, like contract stuff, like I just got to say what I got to say to get by, to kind of pigeonhole him and to bring me back for another year. No, it's been good. Like I'm happy where I'm at. I think, I think that the pandemic kind of hit everybody differently. I know that there's some guys who are kind of struggling to work out, and like I went through phases of, you know, you're on, you're off, you're on, you're off, just because you're hearing so much information. Like I remember one time I was at the gym and Tanner messaged me saying something like there was a shutdown somewhere, and just a Tanner text message that is just very negative on the outlook of potentially playing hockey. And this was back in like, I don't know, June. So it was hard to stay motivated. But then once they kind of set the date and like said, here's the plan, everybody's kind of getting back in the swing of it. But I've been good. Like I've been bored, same old, not a lot has changed. It's been great to be at home for as long as I have. Last summer I was in Kalamazoo for the whole summer, and I get to hang out with my brother's kids and my brother and his wife and my parents. And it's just been awesome. This is actually my brother's office. So like, I don't have an office, JP. I don't need one.
I have a home office, as you can probably tell, around me here. I need to decorate better. Your brother's is better decorated than mine. So good for him. What our fans always come up to me and ask about, and what we hear about on comments from social media, is Harry Potter night, or what we called Wizard Wands and Wings night. We'll go there. Obviously a tough game than the game before against Indy. It was an overtime loss. I know you took it especially hard because you were out there for a long shift in overtime, tried to make a play back to the defense. They go and score. Well, the next night you provide the heroics with the game-winning goal with 10 seconds left in a playoff race against a team that we're competing against in the race, Wheeling. So on top of that, just how special that moment was. Can you look back at that? Where does that rank for you?
I don't know. Like, I think it definitely ranks up there. I don't know if it's a feather in your cap type of moment, like a milestone, and that kind of comes from our main focus as a group, right? Is just like, I didn't really get to enjoy it because we were already thinking to the next game in an unselfish way. Like, it's so quick, especially in the coast. It's like Friday, oh, you had a huge night. Well, you're playing tomorrow. So, get over it. And that was kind of my mindset from the Indy game. And that was brutal. I took that really hard because it was 100% my fault. And it goes back, Booter always, gets on me about making passes on my backhand and stuff. And if it works, basically, then great. If it doesn't, then you're going to hear about it. And I made a backhand pass through the neutral zone in 3-on-3. Like, if I had to draw it up worse, I probably couldn't. And then it was nice to the next night to have that happen. But again, like, Willie makes a great play at the blue line, keeps the puck alive. And I was watching that puck. It was not flat, and he keeps it in and then passes to Farley. Farley passes to me. And I literally just was like, all right, 10 seconds, I'm shooting. And it went in.
Yeah, definitely one of the most memorable plays of the season, I think, for our fans and certainly for us who got to witness it. I had Luke Sandler yelling in my ear up in the press box, so that was fun too. I mentioned you in a blog earlier this summer, and you texted me afterwards and said, thanks for blowing my cover. And I think what I had written was, you're a guy who might be misunderstood from time to time. Sometimes you come off as grumpy. We don't get to see you smile very often. The guys in the locker room chirp you all the time for being the grumpy one. Can you explain where that comes from? And this is your chance to finally defend yourself.
Yeah, no, I remember the conversation. It was there was a compliment in there that you gave me too. It was like, everybody views Kyle Blaney as X, Y, Z. And then you kind of said, like, I enjoy him. Like, I think that there's more to what you see on the surface. So, and then you blew my cover. I don't know. Like, I think facial expressions are a big thing. And I think that I have just that look that I've always seen like I'm angry. But I'm not. But it would be easy to get me there. As far as guys like chirping me, like, I just basically sit back and take it because, like, it's just, they don't want to get on my level, like, if you want to get into it, then we're going to get into it. And I don't think guys want, so I just let them have their fun. Like, you can call me small, cool, man. Oh, hey, like, I love getting chirped when they say angry elf, and like, it's a double whammy, right? Because I'm like, well, is it because I'm small, or is it because I'm angry, or is it both? Like, it is both. And then it just spirals, and let them have their fun,
I'm glad you brought up the angry elf, because I'll never forget this. We're at the season ticket holder Christmas party. Everybody's handing out gifts, and then the rookies get up there and sing their song, and they make fun of everybody. And then it gets to you, and they use the Angry Elf line. And I look over to you to see how you're reacting, and just deadpan. Like you were it looked like you were mad. I kind of knew that you didn't really care, but it was perfect.
I honestly, like, I don't care at all. I think it's comedic for sure. But one of the things too is I've heard it for so long that it almost doesn't even faze me, because I want somebody to come up with something original, you know? And that's kind of where I take like the whole Bedbug thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can at least look at that and be like, okay, at least it's different. Like, and there's a story there, but it's not even really a story. It's just like kind of happened over time. But when I hear Angry Elf, I'm like, boys, like, you guys are way smarter than this. Like, we've got some guys in here with some degrees from pretty good schools. Like, you cannot come up with something better than Angry Elf. Like, all of your brains put together, you can't come up with anything better. But it's all in good fun. I like having that stigma of that. Then I don't get bothered, you know?
Yeah.
I talk on my terms.
Can you share the story behind Bedbug? Because nobody knows, I don't think.
The actual nickname or the jersey?
Yeah,
or
so here's the thing. I don't even know if you intended on your nickname being Bedbug for that night, but everybody has to pick their nickname, and this is the first year we've done it with the jersey nicknames, and everybody does, you know, their last name with a Y at the end. So it's, you know, Hildy or Sorney or whatever. There's very few different ones, like, you know, Jake Kiley was Killer. Then you have it's Bedbug.
Yeah, like, I mean, I wasn't beating the door down, you know, stitching the letters on myself that I wanted to be Bedbug that bad. The whole process was more or less a miscommunication, because I think we were in Allen and Mitchie was texting me asking, you know, what nickname do you want? And I just went through a list. Like, I went KB, Iceman, Blaine's, on and on and on. And then I said Bedbug, LOL, at the end. And I think even he told me that him and Marty were out for dinner, or the staff was out for dinner probably, and they were thinking about Blarney. And it just kind of, when I showed up for that game and I saw my jersey, I had no idea that that was the decision. So imagine that, like 2 hours before one of the biggest games of the year. And by the way, the night before was the Indy game where I turned the puck over in overtime. So like, I'm already in a mood. Like, now, if on that day, if fans saw me, or like if my peers saw me, that's when they could probably get away with saying, yeah, like, he's angry today. I was on a mission, and I come into the rink and I turn my jersey around, and I'm already like, oh, it's a gimmick game, like Harry Potter. You know, sometimes when you have a different jersey on, it can,
right.
It takes away from the focus to a degree. And I turn it around and it says Bedbug, and I almost left. Like, I almost left. I was so close. Honestly, like, if my belt buckle wasn't like horrible to get on, then I would have left. It's just, I was speechless. But the story from where the name actually came from is just Willie. Willie, every day when I'd walk by him in the morning, I guess I look tired because, like, I'm up, but he would be on the bike, you know, doing Willie things like Mr. G.I. Joe, and he would say, oh, like, hey, Bedbug. And then that just kind of like, that's it. Like, there's no story. It's just, he just kind of, and then it kind of turned into a thing. Like, when I'd be leaving the rink, there's Willie stretching or drinking a protein shake or doing push-ups. Whatever he does is like, see a Bedbug, or back to bed, Bedbug, or on the road, we're like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, you're going to bed, Bedbug. That's it. And then it just ended up like, I just suggested it because I was going on a list of all nicknames, and then Mitchie picked it, and I'll give him credit to it. Worked out.
Thankfully, all that happened, because now Bedbug will live in K-Wings history for that awesome goal that was a tiebreaker that prevented overtime, game-winning goal. And if it was Blarney or, you know, KB, I don't think it would have been quite as memorable as Bedbug.
No, like, in history years from now, this game has no relevance if it's just Kyle Blaney who scored.
Yeah.
If we have regular K-Wing jerseys on and I'm just Kyle Blaney, nobody cares. But that night, I was Bedbug. And that's why people are going to remember.
At least one Just Winging It guest has come on the show. And when I asked them what their funniest moment from last season was, they said, you were really upset about an offside or some play that happened, and you came back to the bench and you tried to leap over the boards and you just rolled over the boards. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay. Like it wasn't a roll over the boards. I fell.
Okay. Well, I want to hear what happened.
We were on the power play and the boys weren't giving me the pill. So I was mad on the bench and I said something like, who was I? I think I was next to Sadoway, or I was on the end of the bench because I was mad at everybody else and they were in the middle. And I yelled down and I said something like, me. That's all we care about. Instead of, cause like I'm mad, like, and they were probably having an unreal power play and I'm just on the other side by myself on an island, not getting the puck. Obviously we didn't score because obviously I would have had a different reaction. I probably wouldn't have been mad, but I made it publicly known that I was upset. And then the horn went for a TV timeout and I always usually go for a skate. And I was so jacked up that I just did like put the hand on the boards and both feet over, like right away, like Mighty Ducks 3, like, you know what I mean? How they hop the bench.
Yeah.
And my foot caught the boards and I went down like face first, straight line. Like gravity has never been stronger in that moment. As soon as my foot got caught, it was like a cartoon when like Wile E. Coyote would,
Yep.
off the cliff and then stop in midair and then fall. That's what it was like. It was brutal.
Now you're also the assistant fine master of the team. That's an important role. Justin Taylor is kind of the guy in charge, and you handle most of the dirty work, collecting fines from when guys, either put money on the board or whatever it may be, get fined for something or the other. Now, I've been told, you broke quite a few sticks last year, and maybe there's a malfunction with your particular curve or flex. I'm not sure, but is part of your role as assistant fine master to avoid paying those stick fines, or what's the story behind that?
Yeah, like I keep like a tight knit group of like 3 to 4 friends on the team, and we just wipe those, and then we really try to double down and be aggressive with the other guys and make sure that they pay on time. No, I actually Mitchie let me off the hook at the end of the season, but I tipped him well enough, I think, to suffice the letting go of the stick breaking, because that's just business 101, JP. Like that's money in Mitch's pocket, nice tip. And then I don't have to pay the fine which goes to the team, right? He's a thinker. Like
yeah.
Smart guy.
You don't need to take advanced business at Ryerson University to figure that out, right?
No, you really don't.
Good.
It's funny though, with the fines. Yeah, I'm intern. That would be the way to put it. I think that we're doing a review, or when the season got canceled, it was under review. I was potentially going to take over full time, but now that I'm in a different country, it's Tails is. I think he's taken over his role again. But we'll see when I get back what happens.
I want to ask you about the Irish connection in the Blaney household, because this is something that I still don't know. I haven't been in Kalamazoo long enough to hear your story, but how much pride do you have in the heritage, the Irish heritage? Because from my understanding, you're first generation Canadian.
Yeah. So my parents came from Ireland. My dad came in 81 and he married my mom in 83 and my mom moved over. And yeah, my first brother was born in 84. So I take a lot of pride in it, but not to a sense where I'm very proud to be Canadian. And yeah. I think that like my parents and the country that they grew up in and the culture is so awesome, but it was not the greatest place on earth, especially at the times that they grew up. So I think it's more of, I'm happy that they're from there, but they also made that decision to uproot to Canada, because like I've had such an amazing life. Like it's such a great country. Like I wouldn't be where I am. Right. But St. Patrick's Day, you go hard like everybody else. And then I've been to Ireland a handful of times. It's something that I'll probably pass on to my kids and so on and so on and so on. But I am one of the fortunate ones to be in Canada, but it's also awesome to kind of have that family background and family history. I have so many relatives over there, aunts, uncles. It's just endless. So it's awesome.
Yeah, I've got one more before we get to some rapid fire questions about more just fun stuff. The K-Wings had 2 Gordie Howe hat tricks last year. Both were by somebody wearing number 18. It wasn't the guy who we just signed, Mitch Haltz from Kansas City, who also wears number 18. That was you. When you go about those games, do you have that in the back of your mind? Because I don't know for sure on this one, but I want to say your fight was the third of the 3. I think you already had the goal and the assists.
No, actually, so I fought against Wheeling, and I already had an assist. So I got an assist, got in the fight, and then Diamond gave me the empty netter. And that it kind of was in my head. I think I said it at the intermission, like one of those things where like I say it seriously, but it's a joke. But like I would like it, but I don't really care. And Diamond ended up giving me the empty netter, so that was awesome. And then I fought in Allen, and it's so funny. Sometimes when I get in a fight, like the game is just like over for me. Like you reach like the peak of like intensity, in a sense where like, okay, I'm so jacked up right now. There's nothing that can like equate to this for the rest of this 60-minute hockey game. Like I've just exhausted all my emotional energy. So I fought against Allen, and I hurt my neck. Like not like during, I just like realized in the box, and I was like, all right, like this is going to be a tough rest of the game. And I ended up scoring. Eddie shot from the point, absolute bullet. And I was trying to tip it, but it just hits my stick basically. Like I tried, and it just goes in, and I'm like, all right, sick. Like we're in a game. There's one that we obviously needed to win. And then I ended up getting an assist. I just threw it back to Willie, and Willie shot it, and it went in. Typical Willie goal. He just puts it on net.
Oh yeah.
True goal scorer's goal.
I think Willie scored in one of those Wheeling games that same weekend that you got your first Gordie Howe. All right, rapid fire. These ones are fun. Some are kind of hockey related. Some are just totally random. All right. Best thing that you can cook?
Burgers.
Biggest pet peeve?
There's so many. Wow. Ironically, I'm taking a long time to answer this question, but it would probably be like if you're in line somewhere and you get to the front and then the person decides to look at the menu then. Like, you know what I mean? It's like you're in line at Chipotle, and it's like, really? Is this your first time at Chipotle that you don't know what you want by the time you get up there? Or you go to Starbucks and it's like now you want the white chocolate mocha, but you're not sure, and you're going to switch off, and you don't know if you want soy. Like, you got to make these decisions before going up. That's probably my biggest pet peeve.
That's a great one. I never even thought of that, but I don't think I've ever heard that one before, but it makes perfect sense. Where I thought you were going with that is you get to the front of the line, and so the person in front of you is like this tiny little person who has an order for 6 people. So they've got a list, and so you're in Chipotle and you're so hungry, and one person holds up the entire line.
That could be a version of hell for sure. Yeah. But just like, have you ever gone to a drive-through? Like, you're married, right? Or engaged?
Yeah, married. Yep.
Okay, so, your wife is either driving or in the passenger seat, and you go through the drive-through and you say like, honey, what do you want? And nothing. Like, oh, I don't know. Now I'm gonna look at the menu. What do they have? It's like it's McDonald's. It hasn't changed in 50 years. Like,
are you hiding in our back seat when we're in the drive-through?
Common problem.
What makes you the maddest on the ice? So I guess maybe a hockey pet peeve.
Luke Sandler.
Well, you only will have to play against him this year, so you got that going for you. The sport you're worst at. If you had to play any other sport, which one is one you're horrible at?
Probably tennis.
Yeah.
Like basketball, I think that like percentages alone, I could probably do some damage. Like, I think I could get down low, like make some plays, be like a good disher, but football, running back or free safety, done. Hockey, Baseball, I could probably hit a curveball. And then tennis is just like the cardio alone.
Yeah.
Movement side to side. And like, you got to kind of be rangy playing tennis, right? Like you want to be like a bigger frame. I'm not made for tennis.
Who had the best flow on last year's team?
Oh, me.
Are you going to bring that back? Because it looks like you're clean,
Yeah, I'm maturing, right? Okay. So like I'm trying to present myself in a different image, like a more clean cut, but you get to the nitty gritty, you get to the 4 and 5s, 3 and 3s, it's probably going to come back.
So I'm becoming more immature then, if we're going off of those standards. Loudest guy on the team last year.
Oh man, in a good way. Like Willie's probably was the loudest, I would say, in a good way. Sandler's got to be like in it. You got it if you like him. Like if you have the patience to handle Luke, he's great. And it does take an acquired like taste to be able to hear him daily at the volumes that he operates at and the things that he says sometimes, but he can be pretty loud, but it's all in good fun. And then that's really about it. Like everybody's kind of just keeps to themselves or, has their little clique, but yeah, maybe Farley was kind of loud with Rossi a couple times. They usually take over the room, like with their bantering and stuff. So
I'm going to throw a curveball at you here. Would you rather be trapped on a sinking ship in the middle of the ocean or stuck alone in the desert with nowhere to go?
Ooh. How much time do I have on the ship? Like, who am I with? Who's on the ship?
I don't know. I can't give you that information. It could be a little fishing boat. Could be a cruise ship.
Yeah, like I assume that they have safety guards, like somewhere intact. They have a plan on how we're going to get out of the situation. So I'd rather be on the sinking ship because than in the desert by myself. That's just sounds horrible.
Yeah, it's a tough question. I know. Average number of smiles for you in a hockey game, 60-minute hockey game.
Did we win?
That's a good question.
I wouldn't smile anyway because I wouldn't want to give any of the guys any credit for making me happy. I don't know. Like I would say 3, 1 a period.
Favorite type of candy?
That's a good one. Again, so many. Like, do you just go original and say like, Skittles, like they've been around so long, or do you go off the board? Like maybe I have a new acquired taste. Like I'm a big Cheez-It guy now, but I never was before, but I feel like that could be a phase. I'll go like, we'll just say like Doritos. Like it's hard to match a bag of Doritos on like its best day.
So I'm going to change things up here. So do you qualify Cheez-Its and Doritos as candy then? They're not a chip or a cracker?
I hear candy, I think snack. All right.
Okay.
We'll go candy. All right. I'm ready. Is chocolate candy?
Sure.
Do you have Aero in the States?
No, I might be. Do we? Oh, maybe we do. Or my producer says we do.
Yeah, they're good. Arrow's pretty good. That's my one though. Like I had a couple Arrows, like the little Halloween candies, and I was like, these are an all time. Nobody ever gives them any credit, so that's what I'm on to right now. But I don't eat that stuff anymore.
I actually had this next one written down, and I'm so glad you teed it up earlier in the interview. Least favorite specialty jersey, because we do a lot of specialty jerseys. You mentioned that some of them are kind of gimmicky from time to time. Some players don't mind. Some players, like.
Yeah, I would say there have been some that have just been like the C3PO or R2D2, sorry. Classic mix up, the 2 peas in a pod, those two. But those are just a bit much. Like we can do a Star Wars night without us being R2D2. Like, just like make us Vader. Like we got to be R2D2. Like that's what we settled on.
Well,
it's a bit much.
To be fair, we won that game 7-2, and nobody talks about the jerseys because of the lightsaber battle. So the jerseys kind of took a back seat, if you will. Now, had the lightsaber battle been a disaster for some reason and we lose the game, 5-0 or something, yeah, I could see maybe that's where you go to the jersey, right?
Yeah, but I mean, maybe like you throw Darth Vader uniform on the team and nobody even thinks about the lightsaber battle. Or maybe we've got 10,000 people there. JP.
Why does it have to be a bad guy, though?
We had X amount of people. How many people showed up for that lightsaber battle?
Between 4,000 and 5,000.
4,000 and 5,000 for our team.
Well, I think the official battling like lightsaber number was like 35, something like that. But people in the building, there were over 4,000.
Yeah, we would have been at least 9 and out on the annex in a lightsaber battle if those were Darth Vader jerseys. 100%. Do it this guarantee we break a record.
We would have had an overflow crowd in the valley.
Yeah, exactly. Just like when we do the taco night. Exact same.
All right, so this one you also teed up. We talked about how people call you Angry Elf all the time, and it's just like, come up with new material, be smarter. What's the best chirp that's ever been said to you? One that you're like, man, that's good. I almost have to laugh.
Oh, man. You know what? I don't even want to like give myself any credit. I don't know if I don't get chirped, but I don't really hear a lot. A lot of the stuff just would probably lack originality. I've heard some stuff, but like I honestly can't say it. Not like about me, but like guys get, and it's like vicious, and you're just like, oh my god, like,
not good for a family show.
I didn't hear anything. Like no, nobody heard it. But not me personally, no. But now that I've probably just summoned it, and now like I'm just gonna get roasted this year, guaranteed.
It's probably going to be all your teammates watching this show that are just going to chirp you from the locker room after watching this. Favorite Olympic sport?
If they had more personality, they would be on the top of the short list for the Just Winging It show. So maybe like I would take their negative comments towards me and their chirps and that's just jealousy, JP. They're just like, they're not made for TV like me, you, and Tim. They're just not.
Everybody wants to be on the show. Some people want their own show.
Yeah. Get Tanner on the show. I guarantee it'll do well. Tanner?
He's one that's asked for one. I mean, maybe you and Tanner could co-host a show.
That would be a good fit. I think that's like spaghetti and meatballs or lamb and tuna fish if you're a big guy.
Yeah. What's your favorite Olympic sport other than hockey?
Wow. I like track. If we're gonna go any Olympics, I like track's always fun. You got guys like Usain Bolt, like that stuff's awesome. And then just soccer's good. Obviously, Irish background. My dad is a monstrous Man United fan, and that's kind of been passed on to me. So anything like that, soccer related in the Olympics, I'm probably a big fan.
Our Michael McFadden from the front office is a big Man U fan as well, so you guys could bond over that if you haven't already. How do you like your steak cooked?
Medium rare, but more on the rare.
Okay. Sure, the coaches love that answer. I get a lot of heat for my steak order. I'm more medium, but I get those guys say it's like a leather shoe. You say medium, and all of a sudden it's, oh my god, it's well done. If you could have one actor play you in a movie, who would it be?
That's a good one. I've actually got a couple lookalikes. I was actually down in Mexico for my brother's wedding, and that kid from the Hunger Games, I think is PETA?
Josh Hutcherson.
Josh Hutcherson.
PETA.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this authentically from Mexico, not the best English, comes up to me and pulls up this guy's photo and then starts pointing at me like, you're Josh Hutcherson. And I'm like, no Josh Hutcherson here. No PETA. Kyle, no PETA. And anyway, I'm standing on this bridge at this resort, and this guy basically like accosting me to take a photo with him so that he can post it on his social media that he met Josh Hutcherson. So I would say him if I thought he was up to snuff to play me, but he's not. So either Joshua Jackson, because it's Charlie Conway, or Patrick Dempsey from Grey's Anatomy. Those are my two.
I respect that, but I can't not see PETA now at this point. Like
Yeah.
once you brought up PETA, I can't not see it.
So we got to do a District 12 jersey night for the Hunger Games, and then we'll do nickname night, same night, and we'll throw PETA on the back.
And you're going to score with 10 seconds left again.
And 5-0, and I have 4 goals and 1 assist. Guaranteed.
Who, if you had to choose between these two Irish bands, would you choose Dropkick Murphys or Flogging Molly?
I don't want to embarrass myself because I'm not the most musically connected. Like I listen to the same stuff on repeat. So Dropkick Murphys only because I don't think that unless they have a mainstream like headline song, I probably haven't heard anything from Flogging Molly because Dropkick Murphys, everybody knows, like Shipping Up to Boston.
So let's go with the Cranberries.
Oh, the Cranberries. There you go. Thanks to producer Tim Heimbaugh. The Cranberries, one of my favorites, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm not even embarrassed to say Cranberries have some good music. If you just want to relax, you're in a car ride, middle of the night, you want some good music on the background, I'll blast the Cranberries. I don't care who knows it. So do you like any songs from the Cranberries, and would they change your opinion on Dropkick Murphys?
No, I'm not swayed at all by the Cranberries, but I'm already on Apple Music right now downloading albums. And now I feel like I'm out of touch more with my heritage than I've ever been because I've never heard a song by the Cranberries or Flogging Molly. And I maybe have heard one song by Dropkick Murphys.
I promise when you download this music, you'll recognize at least one song from Flogging Molly, probably 2 that were mainstream. And Cranberries, you'll recognize 3 or 4 of their songs. But think of like the Irish Enya.
Oh, Enya is lights out.
Yeah. That's how I would compare Cranberries, the Irish Enya.
Okay. All right. Yeah, all right. I could probably get on with that. Enya's like my childhood. Like sitting in the back seat of the minivan and we got Enya blasting and I'm just like humming along. I don't even think that they have any really, not a lot of like, it's a lot of melody Enya music, right? Or Enya's music. It's like,
yeah,
there's words, but it's like, it's very like slow motion.
See, and I think I'm 100% with you. My parents used to listen to that when they drive us to school, Enya and Cranberries. So that's where that comes from. It's like a nostalgic thing, right? It's not that if I had to choose any music to listen to right now, it's Enya, but it brings you back to your childhood a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm on the same page.
All right, 2 more for you real quick. They're not rapid fire, but we joked about this. Ben Wilson, he's over in Romania this year. There's going to be a new captain. You wore the assistant captain A for a little bit last year, and a few other guys did too. Is that something that you would make a pitch to the coaches and your teammates for to be a part of the leadership team, or do you really not care? You just show up and do your business?
I would, to be blunt, I think that Willie was an awesome captain. So anybody who follows him up has a tough job ahead. For those, like that's kind of the beauty of when you have a roster turnover. It's because maybe there's not a lot of comparables going on. Like you get new faces in, they don't know what it was like to have Ben Wilson as captain for 4 years. Whereas me personally, like that's going to be a weird transition. If it is me, or if I'm in the leadership group, it's obviously something that I take seriously. It's not like a leisure sport, it's you're playing pro hockey. You get to be a part of the leadership group or in any capacity. And I don't believe in making pitches for things like that because I think that it's a situation where it speaks for itself. If I'm viewed in that way, then so be it. And if not, I'm probably not going to change the way I am whatsoever. And yeah, if it happens, that would be awesome. And if not, then, so be it. I think that there's the term leadership group is so like micro, but it really is a macro situation. Like, so it's funny. It is a cliche, but if you don't wear a letter, you can still be a leader. I think that the term leadership group is almost a way to like coddle and be like, well, you're not the captain, but like you're an assistant. And then it's like, well, what do you say with the guy who has nothing? You're not an assistant, but you're still a captain. It's like, you've got your captain, you've got your assistants, and then you've got the rest of the boys who, you know, if they're going to pull their own weight too, they're going to be themselves. Like everybody is kind of a leader in their own way.
Well, and goalies don't even get to wear letters in the pros. So what about a goalie who's a great leader that the team respects? I mean, so, you know, that's a good argument for them too. I actually forgot a question from earlier that I'm adding to the end, but one thing you're known for is your ability to win big faceoffs. And I think last year you were probably one of the best in that area as far as reliability to win a draw. Now, I've heard the saying, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Is that true for centermen? Like you got to try to cheat to a degree to win the draws, or what's going through your mind in a big end of the game faceoff?
I think that it's like a lot of it is like gamesmanship. So if you know that you're doing well against somebody, you can almost anticipate that they're either going to change or they're like, basically, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. So like if I start out well against somebody, then I'll kind of just keep doing what I'm doing until they make an adjustment. But as far as end of the game goes and stuff, like one of the big things that probably helped me the most was I got out of the mindset of like having to win it exactly where, you know, oh, win it to this spot. It's just not realistic. Like just basically do your job to get it on your side, and then your teammates will come in and help you. And just basically like all you can control is like bearing down. Like there's a lot of guys who are good on draws on every team. Like I can say like Jenks is good on draws for Fort Wayne. I think that we didn't play Toledo that much last year. But I know that I remember they had a couple guys who were good. And then Johnson on Cincinnati, he's good on draws too. He bears down. And Vale, obviously new K-Wing. I've taken some draws against him in the past and he's really good as well. So it is one of those things that I think every team has one or two guys, but as far as just winning them, I would just say like, I just try to bear down as much as I can. And if it's somebody who I have a history with, like I probably took like 150 faceoffs against Jenks alone last year. Like I kind of have an idea of what he's going to do. And I'm sure he's probably looking at me thinking the exact same thing. So honestly, like it comes down to luck too, at the end of the day, like just try and do what you believe is going to work. And if it doesn't work, then I mean, you lost the draw, get over it.
My last one for you is going to be a little introspective. It'll bring everything together, but assuming we play a full season after this year, if I'm not mistaken, you would qualify for veteran status, past the 260 mark for games played at this level or higher. So what does your future look like? Have you given that any thought? And you know, how long do you want to play if you can play at a high level? And then on top of that, you know, have you given any thought to what comes after hockey?
So the vet thing, that's definitely interesting. I think that for this year, especially, I'm just going to enjoy being where I'm at. Honestly, it's been a luxury to be in the same spot for 5 years. So anything that happens after this year is kind of like not in my mind as far as where I'm going to be playing hockey. I would like to be playing. Yes. Would I like to be in Kalamazoo? For sure. But then that also means that there's one less spot for somebody who I know. Like even a guy like Tanner, he's getting close. Covey's got to be getting up there. And these are guys that I have personal relationships with, right? So it's almost now I'm just enjoying knowing that this time is coming to an end with this group, and I'm going to become the outlier somewhere else, if not Kalamazoo, who is one of 4 veterans who occupies a spot. So that's like, it's just a weird mindset, but one that you kind of have when you know that you're approaching that time after hockey. I have always said that I would be done with hockey when I'm done playing. Like I would never play again. I would never lift a weight ever again. I would never do any of those things because like I would just be removed. But the older I get, the more I start to realize, you know, it is possible to stay in the game and maybe be a little bit more emotionally removed for sanity's sake, or, you know, dive right in and try and get into coaching or teaching or anything like that would kind of be cool. And then obviously, you know, my brothers, me and him are very close. I'm using his office, he's in sales and he does really well. And he's obviously somebody who I've looked up to from a young age. So maybe ride his coattail to some success and then, you know, something like that. But no, it's going to be a fun year. I feel like I'm positive. I love the moves that Booter's made. And then as far as after that, you never know. Maybe I'll play for 5 more years. Maybe I'll play for 20 more games. Who knows?
Hey, well, thanks for doing this. I know it's a long time coming. We've had you on our short list, like I said, for a while. So you lived up to the expectations. What's that?
Is that a short joke? You making a pun? I'm on the short
No,
list.
but it does sound like something I would do.
End this call. That's how you want to end the interview. All right, awesome.
Hey, now I never called you Angry Elf. I let you say that first.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Hey, take care of yourself, and hopefully everything goes smoothly with the pandemic getting under control, and we can get back to the ice here soon.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot for having me. Big fan. I'm looking forward to see you guys in person soon. Thanks.